Hey, I'm Conrad. I'm the lead developer of the Outbound Ghost, and it's an adventure game where you try to figure out the cause of your own death, and you help other people come to terms with the afterlife. And it's an adventure game, so it has a lot of gameplay variety. So it's focused on not so much mini games, but experiences that are gameplay related that tie into the story itself. So it's a lot of gameplay ties a lot into the story. That's my main purpose as a developer when I'm making the game. It used to be a pixel art Link's Awakening sort of game where I was really focused on like the item quest for that game, if you're familiar with that. So you would go to a ghost, you would help them, you would get an item for it, and then that item would allow you to help another ghost. And so the whole game was like that. And then in 2019, I was still finishing my other game, Loot Box Life, which came out in February 2020. So I did a bit of a prototype with that, and then I left it until I had finished Loot Box Life in February 2020, and then I came back to it. And instead of making it a pixel art game, it was more Octopath Traveler-like. So it was pixel art, but in 3D. And so I really enjoyed that, but I'm not an artist, so the pixel art was not super great. So I was like, I'm not so sure about this pixel art. Maybe I should hire somebody to either make the pixel art better or maybe just completely change the art style. And a lot of people online had been saying that the game reminded them of Paper Mario. So I was like, I can really see it. So I kind of decided to like lean more into that. I made some prototype art myself, and I really liked how it looked. So I hired somebody else called Clay, Clayzola on Twitter. He's a great artist, and he's been doing the character art since then. And in terms of gameplay, it used to be very much like you just talk to people, explore, and then you get the items so that you can help other ghosts. But it's evolved like way beyond that, where now it's like you've got really fully fledged side games, I guess you could say, that could very well be their own games in their own. So there's this lockpicking mini game, which you can build a whole puzzle game around it. But that's just one facet of the game. So that's kind of my goal with the game. So originally it was straight up just Link's Awakening, the item quest, if it was a full game and it was deeper. And that was all there was to it. And then, as I mentioned, I made it 3D at some point, and that was very much inspired by Octopath Traveler because I had played that recently. I really liked the art style. And then, but the game mechanics were still very much like, this is like Link's Awakening item quest, but in 3D or like with its own twist. And then over time I was like, there's not so much gameplay in here. You're just like walking around exploring. I really need to like make it fun, The game should be probably fun. So then that's when I started implementing like the side mini games, just because, I thought it'd be nice, and like it plays into the whole item thing if you use the items to interact with the mini games. And then over time I was like, yeah, I should really focus on this because I could really make the story better through the gameplay. So it like all plays into each other and doesn't feel too disjointed. So it kind of evolved very naturally over time like that. So it's very much like I wouldn't say it's open world because it's not like the traditional, it's not like Zelda or anything where you like go around, explore, you can do whatever you want. It's very much a linear story. But the world itself is open, and like depending on where you are and what point in the story, you can do certain things. So I guess it's more like the older Zelda games where like, yeah, the world is open, but like you gotta very much like go here, then go there, and then you interact with whatever happens there. Yeah, I think I never thought about it. It's basically an old Zelda game, but with different gameplay in terms of structure. So I guess there's like still not item management, but you grow your character with like new abilities, which you don't really do in Paper Mario. But like your character grows, just not in an RPG sense of like numerical values. So it still feels like an RPG a bit when you play it because there's like a lot of story elements, like the cutscene style is very RPG-ish, but then there's no combat system or anything. So for now it's just PC and Switch, and we'll see about the other ones later. Since I'm like solo, I'm not really working with a publisher right now to bring it to the consoles. I feel like bringing all 4 major platforms on myself in one go day one would be a bit intense. So I'm doing weekly devlogs right now. So I didn't have so much time before because I was a university student. But now that I'm freed up, I'm doing this full time. I'm doing weekly devlogs, so you can like really see what I'm doing every single week, how the game progresses like that. So on YouTube, Conradical Games, that's a great way. On Twitter as well, of course, Conradical Games, and Conradical Games everywhere basically. Instagram, I don't post that much there, but Twitter, YouTube, I do some TikTok as well. That's about it. Yeah.